Welcome to Neo-Nexus. Tonight we dive into a story that could reshape the future of North America, a tale of diplomacy, pressure, and unexpected twists at the highest levels of government. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest stories. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Picture this. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney is not heading to Washington for a routine visit or a diplomatic dinner. Instead, he's embarking on a high-stakes mission, one that could define his legacy and the fate of Canada's economy for years to come. The stakes? Nothing less than the future of trade between Canada and its most powerful neighbor. Trade talks with the US had ground to a halt. The Trump administration's hardline stance left Canada in limbo, with no new deal in sight. The border, usually bustling with commerce, now symbolized uncertainty and risk for thousands of Canadian businesses. Back home, the opposition was relentless. Critics accused Carney of giving up too much in previous negotiations, fueling public anxiety and political tension. Every move he made was under the microscope, and the pressure was mounting. Carney knew he had to stand firm. This wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it was about protecting Canadian jobs, industries, and national pride. Negotiating with President Trump would require nerves of steel and a clear vision for Canada's future. The Canadian economy was holding its breath. Investors watched the headlines, business leaders braced for impact, and ordinary Canadians wondered what the next day would bring. Billions of dollars and countless livelihoods hung in the balance. Officially, it was a working visit. But for Carney, this trip was make or break. Every detail mattered. From the briefing papers he pored over on the flight, to the strategy sessions with his closest advisors. Failure was not an option. He hoped that a face-to-face meeting could break the deadlock. Sometimes, a handshake and a direct conversation can achieve what months of emails and phone calls cannot. Carney was determined to cut through the red tape and find common ground. The goal was clear: remind the US of Canada's vital role as an economic partner. Every truck crossing the border, every shipment of goods, was a testament to the deep ties between the two nations. Disrupting that relationship would hurt both sides. With the weight of a nation on his shoulders, Carney boarded the government jet bound for DC. The eyes of Canada, and much of the world, were on him as he took off into the unknown. He was prepared for tough negotiations on steel, aluminum, and the future of trade agreements. These industries were the backbone of Canadian manufacturing, and any misstep could have devastating consequences for workers and families across the country. But what Carney wasn't prepared for was a bombshell proposal, an unexpected conversation about redrawing the map of North America. The idea was as shocking as it was unprecedented, catching even seasoned diplomats off guard. The stage was set for a historic meeting, but as the world watched, it became clear that this summit would be remembered not just for trade negotiations, but for the surprising turn that no one, perhaps not even Carney himself, could have anticipated. At the White House, Carney was met with smiles and handshakes from Trump. Trump assured that Canada would be happy with the outcome, setting a positive tone. He downplayed tariff issues by framing them as normal business competition. Despite the warm words, the big problems remained unsolved. No new deals were signed. It was political theater at its finest. Trump's style was clear charm, compliment, and hold firm on demands. Carney had to navigate a conversation that was part business negotiation, part reality TV show. The friendly welcome was nice, but it wasn't going to pay the bills for Canadian workers. Trump threw a curveball, suggesting Canada become the 51st US state. He said it with a grin, as if it were a compliment. The comment was a mix of joke, negotiation tactic, and genuine worldview. It was a power move, suggesting dominance over Canada. For Trump, borders seemed like minor details in a business deal. American officials held their breath while Canadians were stunned. They came to discuss tariffs, not dissolving their country. The comment shifted the meeting's dynamic to respect and sovereignty. The ball was now in Prime Minister Carney's court. Carney faced the bizarre proposition with a firm, humorous rejection. With a polite smile, he said, "Mr. President, Canada is not for sale." It was a diplomatic clapback, asserting Canada's independence. Carney reassured Canadians that their leader wouldn't be bullied. His response became a rallying cry, capturing national pride. He showed Canada has a backbone of steel. The exchange revealed the leaders' differing worldviews. Trump saw an acquisition. Carney saw a proud nation. Carney's response won praise, and showed Canada wasn't a pushover. He navigated an awkward moment and emerged stronger. The meeting continued, but Carney had already scored a political victory. News of Trump's comment and Carney's response sparked a national reaction. Canadians were angry, feeling their identity dismissed. A grassroots boycott of American goods erupted. People canceled U.S. vacations, choosing to explore Canada. Shoppers favored Canadian products over American ones. Businesses sourced locally, reducing dependence on U.S. suppliers. The boycott was a populist movement, not government-led. It sent a message that Canada's partnership couldn't be taken for granted. The sentiment was captured by the phrase, "We are not for sale." The boycott defended Canadian sovereignty and showed solidarity with Carney. The economic impact was small, but the message was loud and clear. The boycott brought into sharp focus the massive economic stakes for both countries, revealing just how deeply intertwined their economies have become over the years. Every day, billions of dollars in goods and services cross the US-Canada border, supporting millions of jobs on both sides. The sheer scale of this relationship means that even a small disruption can have ripple effects felt by businesses, workers, and families alike. The United States is by far Canada's largest trading partner, with an astonishing 75% of Canadian exports heading south. This includes everything from lumber and automobiles to agricultural products and energy resources. The health of Canada's economy is closely tied to its ability to access the vast American market. If a trade war were to escalate, the consequences for Canada could be severe. Factory closures, job losses, and a potential recession would loom large, threatening the livelihoods of countless Canadian families and communities. But the relationship is not one-sided. For the United States, Canada is the largest export market, buying more American goods than any other country. This trade supports American jobs in manufacturing, agriculture, and technology. A Canadian boycott of American products could deal a serious blow to American farmers and manufacturers, many of whom rely on Canadian customers to keep their businesses afloat. The impact would be felt in rural towns and industrial cities across the U.S. As tensions rose, the public mood in both countries reflected growing economic anxiety. News headlines warned of job losses, falling stock prices, and uncertain futures, leaving business owners and workers on edge. Many Canadians felt a deep sense of betrayal by their closest ally, questioning the strength of a partnership that had endured for generations. In the United States, many people saw Canadians not just as trading partners, but as neighbors, friends, and even family. The idea of a rift between the two nations was deeply unsettling. The human element of trade became impossible to ignore. Behind every statistic were real people, workers, business owners, and families whose lives depended on cross-border cooperation. Ultimately, it's about more than just numbers on a balance sheet. It's about the livelihoods, dreams, and futures of ordinary people on both sides of the border. Tariffs and political posturing may seem abstract, but their consequences are very real, affecting jobs, prices, and the stability of entire communities. Decades of economic ties built on trust and cooperation were suddenly at risk, all because of a single careless comment, reminding both nations how fragile even the strongest partnerships can be. At the heart of the drama is the USMCA trade agreement. It provides stability and protects against unpredictable U.S. policies. The USMCA has a review clause in 2026, creating leverage for the U.S. Trump suggested renegotiating or scrapping it for new deals. Carney emphasized the strength of the current alliance. Reopening the USMCA could lead to new American demands. The real battle is over the future of the USMCA. The White House meeting highlighted Canada's tightrope walk. They rely on an agreement their partner sees as disposable. The future of North American trade hangs in the balance. The White House meeting ended with smiles and handshakes, but beneath the surface, there was a sense of unease. The gestures were polite, the cameras flashed, and the leaders did their best to project unity, but the lack of concrete results was impossible to ignore. Both sides left the room knowing that the real work was still ahead, and that the handshake was more symbolic than substantive. Both leaders praised each other in front of the press, exchanging compliments and promising to keep the lines of communication open. They spoke of friendship and cooperation, assuring the public that dialogue would continue. Yet behind the carefully chosen words, there was an undercurrent of tension, as each leader tried to reassure their own country while not giving too much away. The visit did succeed in breaking the silence that had settled over trade talks in recent months. For the first time in a while, negotiators from both countries were back at the table, and there was a renewed sense of urgency to address the issues that had been festering. Carney, representing Canada, didn't hold back in voicing the country's frustrations. He made it clear that patience was running thin. On the other side, Trump played the role of the tough negotiator, insisting on terms that would benefit American workers and industries, even if it meant ruffling feathers. Despite the friendly tone at the podium, the reality on the ground was much harsher. Tariffs remained in place, factories continued to struggle, and workers on both sides of the border worried about their jobs. Smiles and handshakes don't pay the bills or reopen shuttered plants. The future of the US-Canada relationship is more uncertain than ever. With so many unresolved issues and shifting political winds, it's hard to predict what comes next. The offhand comment about Canada becoming the 51st state was more than just a joke. It revealed a deep crack in the alliance, exposing sensitivities and insecurities that have long simmered beneath the surface. For many Canadians, the episode was a stark reminder of how unpredictable their southern neighbor can be. It sparked concern, frustration, and even a bit of soul-searching about the future of the partnership. As a result, efforts to diversify trade relationships may accelerate. Canadian businesses are already looking to Asia and Europe, seeking new markets and more stable partners to reduce their reliance on the US. Negotiators will return to the table, determined to find common ground, but the challenges are significant. Every agreement will require compromise, and trust will need to be rebuilt step by step. This meeting, with all its awkwardness and uncertainty, is just one chapter in a long and complicated story. The US and Canada have weathered many storms together, and their relationship has always been defined by both cooperation and conflict. In many ways, the US-Canada relationship is like a family squabble. There may be arguments and hurt feelings, but there's also a deep bond that's hard to break. They'll likely make up and move forward, but no one will soon forget the moment someone suggested selling the family home.